Hi everyone! Today's band that I'm listening to for the first time is Garbage. I'm serious. I mean, I'm not judging it ahead of time and saying that it's garbage and shouldn't be listened to. The real name of the band is Garbage. So, well, let's see what I have to read about them. Garbage is a Scottish-American rock band formed in 1993 in Madison, Wisconsin. Garbage have received 57 nominations, winning 15 awards. Well, that's one way to do it. Don't try to make yourself sound great. I mean, even build it into your name that you're garbage. Then, if you get some awards, well, that's pretty cool. If you get 57 nominations, wow. Everybody's surprised. Everybody feels impressed. Garbage made it, winning 15 awards. Major awards which Garbage have been nominated for include the Grammy Awards and the Brit Awards. I Think I'm Paranoid reached the top 10 on the UK singles chart and airplay charts, while Across the Atlantic also becoming a hit on Billboard's Modern Rock Tracks chart. So, I Think I'm Paranoid. Didn't I listen to a song called Paranoid Android? Right. Was that a 90s piece? And so now this is a...
Radiohead.
Yes, that's right. And now this is 1993 when they were formed. So this might be kind of the same era. So funny. Everybody liked the name the word paranoid back then. I think I'm paranoid. Paranoid android. Well, let's see if this sounds anything like the other, reminds me of the other, or if it stands on its own 2 feet. Well, I have to say, it does have a sort of, can I say 90s sound to it? I don't know if I could quite put my finger on why yet. Although I have listened to a good handful or more of 90s era music. So I start to say, yeah, it has a sort of a 90s sound. But if I were going to try to parse it out and say, this is what gives it that sound. Musically, substantively. I think I'll hold off on that just a little bit longer. But I am happy that at least I'm beginning to identify the sound of the era. Okay, so I'm thinking back through some of the other 90s era pieces that this is recalling to my mind. Well, of course there was Paranoid Android, and then there was I guess it was Smells Like Teen Spirit, right? And there was another one I just thought of and now it slipped my mind. Anyway, one of the things that I think is maybe common between them all is, and I don't want to talk about just the recording end of things and the technology end of things. We kind of talked about that in the series that I did with Carl about the history of rock music, and I understand that that is part of it. But there are some actual musical construct elements as well that I start to hear as identifiers. I could say that it's partly the electronic synth instrumentation sounds, the little cheat, 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 the sort of electronic quality in the sounds. Well, as I said with Paranoid Android, there was a moment where it sounded like the dial-up sound, and little elements like that, which sound really technological, modern era. But, well, what used to be modern era? Who hears the dial-up sound anymore? I think we've passed that now. That's back in the Ice Age now, isn't it? But I'm noticing this chorus here. There's this sort of limited range, pitch-wise, and one of the things that I kind of begin to locate is this tendency towards alternating between a couple pitches many times within a short space, dum, bum, 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 with a sort of bit of syncopation and flipped rhythms, a little bit angular, dum, bum, 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 bum. Somehow I start to think of that as a sort of fingerprint of the era, that alternating. Well, I'd have to go back and listen to the other pieces to really start counting up and analyzing. But as I'm going forward, I'll keep that in mind, because it does stick out to me as something that I've heard multiple times from this era. Kind of a cool sound that everybody wanted to incorporate into their music, perhaps. Well, that was a bit of a sudden interruption, wasn't it? And I kind of was talking over it, so let's back up and hear it. Pay attention to it. Yeah, it's a sort of angularity, a sort of, we don't really want something that carries us through, gives us a nice flow, momentum. It's this lack of momentum lack of drive that is standing out to me. Dum dum bum 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 bum, and even that, which is kind of static, bum dee 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 dee, which we hear both in the melody in this song and in the accompaniment. Maybe not exactly the same, but I'm talking about the general shape and construct of it. Not only that, here, even that flow, that progression, which is really has a static feeling, even a stagnating feeling, even that gets cut off right mid-sentence. And then we go back again to the voice. So first we hear dum dum bum 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 in the accompaniment, cut it off midstream, and then jump back. Kind of like, well, going back to an earlier era when there were vinyls, records as I grew up calling them. You know, the idea of the needle skipping back, it kind of messes things up. Oh, we skip back to the beginning, right in the middle. And it's kind of what's happening here. Creep, right? Is it I'm a creep or something? Creep. That's the other one that I was thinking of. And that brings me to the other thing, which is more of a lyrical idea that stands out to me, is that a lot of these, and this one especially, I notice, it's about let's see, does it say specifically? No, it doesn't. Somehow I thought, yes, heaven knows what a girl can do. So it's talking about, it's kind of from the guy's perspective, the girl that he wants or that he's got a crush on, or whatever the relationship or desire for relationship is. But it's an era where it seems like the songs that are written from a guy's perspective are suddenly expressing conflicted feelings, complexity of feelings. I'm here, it says, I think I'm paranoid and complicated. And historically, those aren't the sorts of sentiments that a guy would express. And so there's this idea of, okay, we're kind of breaking down some of the societal stigma around the male part of the population expressing confusion, complex feelings, not always assertive, not always clear and sure of oneself. And, okay, yes, it comes across as being kind of static, but it does, I think, reflect the recognition that, we can't always have this machismo attitude and expect to, be healthy, functioning individuals if that is the way we relate to the world around us and to the ones we wish to have a relationship with. And so, as much as I say, okay, this sounds kind of juvenile and the attitude is at the same time, I appreciate the drive behind it, the recognition that, okay, we need to start looking at the emotional complexity. We need to lose this what has become such a stereotype that it constrains us and becomes unhealthy to the individual who's trying to, present that as their image to the world. And so this is another thing that I find with Creep and with now this, I think I'm paranoid. The idea that, okay, I'm a guy, but I can be kind of confused and mixed up too. And that doesn't make me bad. I'm a little bit unsure of whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I can at least let you know what I'm thinking, and that's good. And I was trying to shape out with my fingers at the end the different points in the piece where the different layers of the music that I was hearing this sort of a kind of alternating, kind of static, somewhat angular musical feel that I was talking about a bit earlier, because you can start to see how, okay, it's embedded in the vocal line, it's embedded in the synth, whatever background sounds, it's embedded in, different layers of the accompaniment. It's a real feature of this piece in particular, and something that I also recognize orally as standing out to me in some of those other pieces that I've listened to from this era too. So that's kind of nice to start noticing, putting together not just attitudes, not just technological developments, practices, advancements, but also musical structural design elements, which were a real feature of the time. And that is something that, well, I like to do it because it helps us understand how the music does what it does and identify those elements. And it's something that, as a classical musician, I'm accustomed to doing, because we identify different eras of classical tradition very clearly, very distinctly by certain structural, musical, content, thematic practices, little details, even little details of how is a note decorated. Do you do a trill this way, or do you do a trill that way? It depends on what time in history it was done. So I naturally tend towards that as I'm listening and starting to build out a bit more my understanding of the various eras. And just as we can identify fingerprints of a particular composer, artist, creator, like, say, guitarist David Gilmour or Brian May, or a band, the Beatles, or, well, here we have an era, the 90s, and some specific, we could say, fingerprints are starting to become clearer to our eyes, to our ears, and that's a lot of fun. Well, that was my first exposure to garbage, and, well, I have to say that garbage isn't garbage, so there's that. Another sort of... What song do you like to listen to? I think I'm paranoid. Wait, you mean you think you're paranoid, or is that a song? It's funny playing around with these names and titles, and I think they kind of chose it for the reason that it allows that. And so I don't feel bad doing it. Anyway, lots of fun. A nice experience of exploration and discovery and putting the pieces together. And let's see what comes next. I'll see you soon.